It was almost midnight when Ethan Cole, a self-made millionaire, walked into his kitchen after a long day. The city lights shimmered through the glass walls of his mansion, reflecting off the polished marble floor. He had just returned from a charity gala where everyone praised him for his generosity, but inside, he felt an emptiness he couldn't name. The house was silent, too big for one man, too quiet for a soul craving meaning. He poured himself a glass of water and was about to head upstairs when he heard something, a faint clinking sound, like a fork tapping against a plate. His brows furrowed. No one should be here. His staff left hours ago. He followed the sound toward the pantry, his steps light but cautious. When he opened the door slightly, his heart stopped. Sitting on the floor, barely lit by the dim light from the refrigerator, was his maid, Rosa. She was eating from a plate of leftovers, carefully, almost guiltily, trying not to make any noise. Her eyes widened in fear when she realized she had been caught. The plate trembled in her hands. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't mean to steal. I was just hungry." Ethan stood there, frozen. Rosa had been working for him for 2 years, quiet, reliable, never asking for anything. He thought she was fine. He thought she earned enough to take care of herself. He was wrong. He slowly walked toward her, trying to process what he was seeing. "Rosa," he said softly, "why didn't you just ask for food?" She lowered her gaze, her hands shaking. "I didn't want to bother anyone. My son, he's sick. Most of my pay goes to his medicine. I eat at night so my children can have enough." Those words hit him harder than he expected. The same man who donated millions to faceless charities was standing in front of someone who needed help right under his own roof, and he hadn't even noticed. Ethan knelt down beside her. "How long has this been happening?" he asked, his voice heavy with guilt. "Since last winter," she whispered. "Sometimes I take a little rice or bread after cleaning the kitchen. I thought no one would notice." He looked at her plate, cold pasta, a few scraps of chicken, nothing that anyone would have missed. But to her, it was survival. He felt a lump in his throat, something deep and painful. Without another word, Ethan stood up and walked to the stove. He turned it on, pulled out fresh ingredients from the fridge, and began to cook. Rosa watched in disbelief as her wealthy employer prepared a meal at midnight. When he finished, he placed the warm plate in front of her. "Eat," he said quietly. She hesitated, her eyes glistening with tears. "Sir, I can't." "Please," he interrupted gently. "You've taken care of my home for years. Let me take care of you tonight." Rosa took a bite, then another. The warmth of the food mixed with the warmth of his kindness, and she broke down crying. Ethan sat across from her, silent, realizing how blind he had been to the struggles of those who worked so hard to make his life comfortable. The next morning, Ethan called his accountant and doubled Rosa's salary. He set up a medical fund for her son and arranged transportation for her family to move closer to the city. When she tried to thank him, he simply said, "You've given me more than you know. You reminded me what real kindness means." Weeks later, something changed in Ethan. The man who once measured success in luxury now found meaning in compassion. He began visiting his staff's families, listening to their stories, helping where he could. His mansion, once silent and cold, now echoed with laughter and warmth. Rosa continued to work for him, but the dynamic was different now. She was no longer just an employee, she was part of a family. Every Christmas, Ethan would sit beside her, sharing stories and food, remembering that night that changed everything. Sometimes, true wealth isn't found in what we own, but in what we give. And Ethan learned that the smallest act of humanity can heal the deepest kind of loneliness. The world outside continued to chase riches and fame, but inside that once empty mansion, there was finally light, laughter, and the quiet peace that only kindness can bring.